Hi everyone, how you doing? So I've been putting out some new stuff lately. It's a project I've been working on called Demos from the Canyon and Beyond, and this is my new home studio here. So what I wanted to do is take you through a song I just did today, written, recorded, vocals, guitars, basses, drum programming, the whole nine yards, just to give you an idea of what you are capable of doing in your own home studio. So the stuff around me, there's a lot of stuff that it's taking me decades to build up. But all you really need is a computer, an interface, and a mic. Doesn't matter what kind of mic, you can do an entire album with an SM57. This is a proven fact. So in the case of this particular song today, what I did was I was using some of my less expensive gear. So when me and my brother had a studio uh, almost 20 years ago now, we had gotten a bunch of stuff that we could afford. And so one of those objects was a pair of Nady RSM2 ribbon microphones. I happen to love the sound of ribbon microphones. They have a very natural open sound, and I dig them. And so I recorded the acoustic guitars with that. That went into a Golden Age pre-Q73 preamp. Not the most high-end preamp, but one, again, I've had that for almost 20 years now, and it's solid. I've never had a problem with it. And then from that, I used a Golden Age Projects Comp 54, which is a clone of a Neve 33609 compressor, a diode type compressor. It has a very specific sound. Again, not super expensive. So the entire signal chain for the guitar parts that I recorded is roughly $1,000 maybe. So with that setup, you could do a whole world of stuff. Now I could have used the 57, but I really like the sound of the RSMs and they didn't cost much to begin with. So I still have them. They work. Everything's great. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and we're going to see what the gear looks like, what the raw tracks sound like, so you can gauge for yourself what it is you're capable of doing in your home studio. So here we have the two pieces I was just talking about, the Golden Age Projects Pre-Q73 preamp and the Golden Age Comp 54 compressor. So these, like I said, are not super expensive pieces of gear. You can find them online. Roughly 400 or 500 bucks, I guess. And you could sit there and go, okay, with this, I now have very close to an old analog front end. You have a shelf here for the low frequency and the high frequency with 2 points, 55 and 175, and then the high end at 8 kilohertz and 12 kilohertz. It's based off of a Neve 1073 preamp, and it sounds really good. I mean, I've done a lot of work with this particular preamp just because sometimes I don't feel like firing up anything else. And it's always, like I said, been solid. And it has a sound. Everything I have has a particular sound. I have multiple copies of various preamps because I like that sound. And each preamp brings a little different color to it. So this compressor does some really cool stuff. It kind of squashes everything in a unique way, and you can actually drive this to get some of that old console analog distortion type sound that we all love so much. So running the guitars through this, the trick I did today was on one guitar, I used the EQ to drop the low end a little bit and raise the high end a little bit. And then on the second guitar, I didn't use the EQ at all. So what I end up with is two slightly different variations of a sound that sound really great together. It makes the guitar sound massive because I'm not doing the same thing twice. I myself am a huge fan of double tracking guitars. I just love that sound. It's one of those things I hear it and I go, that's the thing I want to do. So these were used for that kind of an idea because I like that sound and I want to use the gear that's going to make me realize the sound I hear in my head. So let's go back and see the microphone itself and then we'll go from there. So this is my Nady RSM2 ribbon mic. You can probably find these. I don't know if Nady makes them anymore, but there's other companies that make the same idea. I know MXL does it, and I think Golden Age Projects does it. But this is just a straight ribbon mic. It's if you're old enough to remember old late night talk shows, the announcer or the host would have a huge mic in front of them on the desk. It was a ribbon mic, something like this. And this way, what you can get is you're getting the proximity from the front of the mic and you're hearing the voice in a space in the studio in that case. But this I like because on guitars, it does a really beautiful thing to them. It captures them pretty close to what they sound like. And that way you can go, okay, if I like the sound of this, I don't need to alter anything. This is the kind of mic I want to use. I want to hear exactly what that instrument sounds like in the space, so it's exactly as if the listener were in the studio with me. That way they hear what I hear. And that to me is exciting. So let me put this away and we'll move on from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play just a little bit of this so you can get an idea of what's going on, and we'll talk about it and show you what I did. Okay, so what I have here is I have my two guitars, and if I go to my mixer, you can see what I did here. So basically there's nothing going on. I have a little low frequency roll off here. Same thing on this one and this one. So it's just basically high passing below 80 hertz for the guitars. So now if I play just the one, it's got a very interesting sound to it. It sounds almost very old Led Zeppelin. This one, just a little bit brighter. Together. And now I have this interesting guitar sound. So, like I said, all that was done with these was I recorded them with the RSM2. I had it pointed at the 12th fret. And then that went into the Golden Age pre-Q73, which goes into the Comp 54. The Comp 54 is used more as a tonal machine than as an actual compressor. I'm not really hitting it that hard. And then for the bass, what I'm using is a Hofner Beetle bass. Again, not very expensive. It's the Ignition series, just very cool bass. Sounds really interesting on tape, as it were. And then that runs into a DI box, an API 505 DI to be precise. And then that goes into a Golden Age Projects Comp 2A, which is a clone of an LA 2A. It's just basically a tube compressor. Really interesting sound again. And so for my bass sound, I have this. And so now I take that and I put the two guitars, the bass, and the drums, which are just the drums in Logic Pro at the moment. That's what I'm using. And all three of them together. Okay, so let me change the camera around. So for those of you that have made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you very much. I do appreciate you taking the time to check this out. Then the second question you probably have is, why are you showing me all this? Well, the basic reason is this. I teach a lot of engineering, production, and songwriting classes on top of guitar, bass, and mandolin, and ukulele, and all that. But every time someone records something, they go, it doesn't sound good. I don't like it. It doesn't sound like a record. It never sounds like the record as you're recording it. It just doesn't. There's things you have to do to it to make it all fit and work together. Now, as you get better at what you do, you can get stuff in the right place the first time out and get everything sounding really close to a record. It still doesn't sound exactly like the record, but it's getting close. So the whole idea is, as you're recording stuff, one, don't throw away the baby with the bathwater, as they say. First, get the best sound you possibly can. Okay? The idea is sometimes you need to put more space between the source, whatever it is, your vocal, your guitar, your bass, your drums, from the microphone. So you're getting, the microphone isn't overloading, number one. You're not overloading the preamp, number two, whatever you're using for an audio interface or a preamp. You don't want to overload those. That sounds terrible. And then 3, you want to see what does the thing sound like in the room. When you're hearing it in the room, what is it that you like about it? What don't you like about it? And then compensate for those things. We don't all work in well-treated rooms all the time. This is the best room I've had since 2006. The rest of the time, I've been recording stuff in an apartment, usually in a bedroom or in a small area of a living room. That's kind of how things work out sometimes. And you go, it's okay, it's fine, not a problem. You have to work with what you have. That's how you get something interesting. That's how you get something unique. That's how you get something, dare I say it, original. So I hope this helped you out a little bit. If you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Subscribe if you like what you see. Tell your friends. And if you do dig it, I'll do more of these and we can talk more from there. In the meantime, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for checking it out.